Hello everybody, welcome back to my little corner of the internet where I will talk about the stories of my life, my work both as a comic book author and a translator, my cats Hey Hey and Serengeti, and the occasional movie, book or TV series review and recommendations, as well as some rants if the feeling hits. So, this video is a bit out of the rotation. Originally, I was going to do a more changes needed video while I kept reading It by Stephen King, but Christmas. And I will have to say, I adore the holidays. The summer holidays in Mexico are like a big thing because we start celebrating in December 12th and then around February the 2nd. Sure, there are no holiday parties between January 6th and February the 2nd, but officially the holidays ain't over until baby Jesus dances El Pasito Perón. Google that, Mexican meme. But as I was talking to my friend Melissa Gibo, the idea for the image with Mr. Cthulhu and his daughter God from my webcomic building blocks came up, and then I remembered my favorite Christmas movie of all time that is not, surprisingly, Die Hard, and so, well, I had to do this. So let's celebrate with the family and let's talk about All I Want for Christmas. First things first. I am not talking about the Mariah Carey song. I am talking about the 1991 Ethan Embry and Thora Birch movie, aka that one Christmas movie that had the most misleading and uninventive publicity campaign in the whole world. I am talking about trying to sell as miserable as a happy rom-com levels of misleading the audiences, and because of that, I feel like this little gem got completely forgotten by time and unfairly bashed by critics despite having actually 3 nominations for Best Young Actor and Actresses for both Thora Birch and Ethan Embry in 1993. Sure, it is not a Miracle on 34th Street, It's a Wonderful Life, or even Home Alone. But that is the point. It is not any of those. Even when the PR marketing team tried very hard to sell it as Home Alone, with 2 kids kidnapping Santa Claus in order to get all the gifts they want for Christmas. I mean, look at the poster. Obviously, it has to be about that, right? I mean, they even got Leslie Nielsen as Santa Claus. Obviously, it's going to have a ton of funny slapsticks, and the kids will learn that the true meaning of Christmas are gifts that you can't grab and end up being better children for their parents after almost ruining the holiday for everyone, right? Absolutely wrong. In fact, Santa Claus is a little bit more than a cameo if you can believe it from the poster, and there is absolutely no crazy hijinks to get as many presents as the kids can get. There are some crazy hijinks, yes, because it is a Christmas comedy, and you can't have a Christmas comedy without crazy hijinks. But every single one of them is firmly set in reality, with just some tiny hints at that maybe, just maybe, there is some real magic. But those hints are blink and miss it, so they don't really change the rest of the story. I will try to tell you why you should watch this movie if you haven't, even if the poster makes it seem like a cheap Home Alone knockoff without spoilers. But this is the absolutely last moment you have to stop and go watch it because, hey, it is in a couple of streaming services and you can even rent it or buy it here at YouTube. And this was definitely not paid by YouTube, by the way. So, if the movie is not about kids kidnapping Santa, what it is about? Halle, a little 7-year-old girl, has just asked Santa Claus for her divorced parents to get back together for Christmas. When her mother announces a week before the big day that she is getting married, but to her new boyfriend, Tony, whom no one in the family can stand, Halle is absolutely convinced that she is to blame, so it falls on her older brother, Ethan, to figure out how to get their parents back together in time, get rid of Tony, and keep his little sister's faith in Santa Claus magic in just 3 days. Basically, all I want for Christmas is not gifts, but family together. which can't be more Christmassy unless you manage to get a guy in a green suit to steal a Christmas tree in the second act. By the way, there is a clue to this plot in the poster, but it's really hard to see and easy to miss. Not only that, the movie has a huge anti capitalism message in it, because even when Halle's grandmother is quite rich, as she's a former actress, the fact that Tony flaunts his fortune as a Wall Street stockbroker and tries to point out how famous and rich he is at every chance he has is the main reason we know he's not right for Halle's mom, Catherine, while her dad, Michael, left the Yuppie life to have his own diner, where he works as hard as everybody else and thus is a good man who just needed to use his words a little bit better with the woman he loves. Even the kids are very down to earth, both of them working part time at the dad's diner and preferring that to the far more pretentious activities their private school organizes. In many ways, All I Want for Christmas is a nice mix of the three biggest holiday movie subgenres. It's a kids' comedy, as most, if not all of the action is centered around Ethan, Halle, and their friends who join in Ethan's complicated plan. It is a romantic comedy, as of course the whole getting the parents back together is about miscommunication between two people in love. And finally, it is a movie about how the magic of the holidays is not about what you can buy and put a bow on. And while that kind of combinations could go really wrong, and the script has a couple of weird points, the cast makes it work really well. Let's start with the real star, Thora Birch as Halle. I mean, yes, nowadays we all know how freaking talented she is. We all remember her as Danny in Hocus Pocus, another precious little girl who is also her older brother's worst nightmare, and later blew our heads off with her amazing role in American Beauty as Jane, and later conquered all geek hearts as Enid in Ghost World. But this was her third movie and her ninth role. She had been acting for a whole 4 years, and here she managed to be a perfect little girl without breaking the line into the annoyingly cute perfection. Her exchanges with Tony, Kevin Nealon, help a lot with that. He treats her as if she was a little girl in a Christmas movie, but she just wants to be treated like a real person, like her dad, her brother, and her grandmother do, not with the condescending tone Tony uses. But where she shines? Her scenes with Ethan as she cries because she is sure she is the reason her mother is marrying a jerk. You can really feel bad for her and know that she means it when she says, I had to see him. This is special. Not all moms and dads get back together, but ours should. And then you have Ethan, played by Ethan Embry, who had even less experience than Thora, having only been acting professionally for a year at the time. And yet in another forgotten kids movie, Bad Attitudes, that I will have to talk about later on. And yet nails the protective brother who just wants his sister to hold on to her childhood innocence. We see it not only with his insistence that she should not ask the impossible from the real Santa, according to her, the Macy's one, all the other ones are fake and will never get you what you want. But also his mind numbing fear when he realizes that she was walking alone in New York City, and his complete dedication to Mission Desert Island. Unfortunately, his best moments are on the second part of the movie, so rather than tell you about them, I will insist you should watch them by yourself. Last scene of the third act, you can see the kid has a future before him. And well, we have been lucky enough to see him grow into that talent. So yeah, he has a future. He had a future. He is living that future. I want to make a point of this because one of the biggest problems with kid Christmas movies are usually the kid actors. We have had some amazing kid actors, but also some that are not that good. And in the range age that Thora had back then, it was more often than not, well, kids who weren't really that good at acting. So the fact that these two managed to hold on their own and pretty much carry the movie on their shoulders is something that you must appreciate. The adult cast is also amazing. I'll start by singing praises at Kevin Nealon because it's really hard to be that dislikable and not end up being a caricature. Yes, he is insufferable as Tony, and pretty much everything he says sounds slimy as hell, even when he's trying to be nice, but that takes talent. We still have no idea what Catherine was thinking when she started dating him, and probably that is one of the weakest part of the script, but he does try to keep many pretenses up right up until his last strand is cut. So props to him. Leslie Nielsen, as I said before, is pretty much a little bit of a cameo, to the point that the credits list him as special appearance by Leslie Nielsen. But it's a very nice and subtle cameo, to the point that if all you have seen of him are the pratfall comedies that followed the success of The Naked Gun, he's almost impossible to recognize. There aren't a lot of lines he has, but the ones he had, he could have hammered them up and chew all the scenery around him, but he doesn't. To be honest, I wish he had done at least another non-pratfall movie as Santa, because man, he is the perfect sweet Santa here. I mean, unless you want a badass Santa, because that's Kurt Russell, but that's a discussion for another day. We also have the incredible Lauren Bacall, yes, the Lauren Bacall, pretty much playing herself as the O'Fallon's grandmother, Lillian Brooks. Jamie Sheridan is Michael O'Fallon, Harley Jane Cossack is Catherine O'Fallon, and we even have a cameo from Renee Taylor. Yes, Sylvia Fine, and in the role of a woman named Sylvia, with very questionable taste, obsessed with weddings. So perfect. All in all, a great package for a holiday movie that will leave you smiling at the end. Oh, and the absolute best part? All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey is not in the soundtrack of the movie. Instead, the movie takes its emotional cues from All I Want, which is a lot less holiday specific and much less earwormy. Okay, this is because the All I Want for Christmas song was not released until 3 years after the movie was made, but it still counts as a positive because nowadays you cannot escape Mariah Carey. To be honest, I don't think there is a romantic Christmas movie that doesn't include it or a cover, so really enjoy the piece while you can. Once again, I suggest you go and watch this movie, especially if you are tired of the rom-coms of the season or the newest take on Santa Claus giving gifts. Although, since I am here, I also recommend Claus and Arthur Christmas, both animated movies, both amazing. Just to mix it up a little bit this year. If you do watch it after this review, I'd love to hear what you thought about it in the comments, especially what you thought about Leslie Nielsen's Santa, because again, I love him to pieces. And of course, I wish you the happiest holidays and all the blessings and the most wonderful 2022. I want to thank my dear Patreons, Mitch Hyman, Elaine Ho, and Jessica, as well as my first supporter, Tanya Pineda, and the most amazing person in the universe, Amy Sung, without whom these videos will not be possible. I also want to remind you that if you want to support these and my other projects and get your name mentioned here, you can do so at patreon.com/Adalisa, written link on description, as I know my name can be hard to spell, and also with all my link tree. And with just $1 a month, you will always be thanked in my videos, as well as getting access to a ton of art before anyone else, and the videos 24 hours before I release them on YouTube. If you can't support me this way, I also accept likes, subscriptions to the channels, and comments so that the algorithm catches engagement. Of course, you sharing the links also helps a lot. I also welcome all your questions, comments, and suggestions in the comments below this video. And once again, have the most wonderful end of the year, and I will see you next year.